Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. But Britishy Georgie's here today because I'm having a low dough day. Low dough, that's what I call it, low dopamine. And for those of you guys that don't know, Britishy Georgie is represented by this jacket, which, by the way, I saw Mr. Snowflake and he was wearing a yellow jacket very similar. So I knew it. I knew it. I knew this is Britishy style. Just saying. If he did it, then it's Britishy. Period. But anyways, it has to do from my brat era when I was, brat. So basically, Charlie's Britishy, there's the connection, etc. For those of you guys that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, know this video will be weird because whenever I'm having a low dopamine day, I have a hard time focusing. And I do think it has to do with the weight loss a little bit. There's something going on. I'm probably about to have a migraine. It's probably what it means. So we love. But anyways, let's get into it. And we're going to start this. I have to talk about it because Angelica mentioned my name. And I saw this on Angelica's channel. And I was like, oh my God, I have to talk about it. Oh my God, she's going Britishy. Oh my God, Tess is in LA, period. My birthplace with Britishy. Again, what is this weird connection? What is this connection? If there's an intersection between Los Angeles and England, I have to show up. And I have to be wearing this jacket. And also, it's been really, really cold here. For my Britishies and Celsius people, it was 4 degrees yesterday. I was dying. Which is it was like 39 for Americans. And today it was like 50, but it's getting real cold at night. It was like 27, which I don't even know. A -2, I don't know. I'm not that good, y'all. I looked up the 4 degrees. But it's Britishy cold here. I'm not liking it. But here we are. And I do think the cold does something to my mind. I don't know. It does. Something happens. And I'm also having to wear this because it's that cold. But with that said, with that off-topic discussion said, which as you can see, it's going to be one of those days, which I love that it annoys everybody. Just kidding. No, some of you guys really love it. A lot of you guys have ADHD and you're like, I love it. And I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it. But we're going to start now. So Tess Holliday, I guess she posted this on her TikTok and she's going to talk about GLP-1s and etc. I don't know if I watched all of Angelica's because I wanted to respond myself and I don't want to react. You know what I mean? I wanted to have my own influence, my own moment, because I knew I'd have to go here. I knew. I was saving it. I was saving it for a low dough day. And here we are.
Really say that I blame it 100% on GLP-1s or the weight loss jabs. I think that collectively our society has moved to a place where thinness is in, body positivity and curvy is no longer popular for a lot of brands.
Okay, so I think that Tess Holliday has a hard time reading the room, which I'm not surprised. Again, I've talked a lot about how when people get very, very huge, and especially very, very huge, toxic ritualistic, etc. But I would say especially just on the huge side, the hypohaze comes through. Which what does that mean? It means your estrogen gets really, really high because you're so super morbidly obese that you develop very bad hypothyroidism as estrogen is opposed to thyroid hormone, and you get hazy, you get very brain foggy, and you start to lose empathy because your body goes into a survival state. It's basically fight or flight, so you can't see things as clearly or you can't look at something outside of yourself as well. This also does lead to a lot of black and white thinking, which can be greatly reinforced due to the toxic ritualistic, which would be E followed by the letter D, especially Hinge, which Tess has. I don't care what she says. She has Hinge. I don't care what the hell she says. But that's basically, it reinforces the black and white thinking. So she's probably thinking incredibly black and white at this time. And so basically, she cannot read the room. And what is the room? Things are not great economically right now. They haven't been for a while. And I would say at least it's like undeniable since last year and this year. And so if something isn't selling, it's got to go. Pun intended, they had to trim the fat in terms of like having certain sizes in stores and things like that. They don't have anything extra to produce extra stuff. There's really no grace at this time. It's difficult for a lot of different reasons. I'm sure it's somewhat difficult to run a business. But also, I mean, I don't want to get too high horsey or whatever, but there's a lot of corporate greed too at this time. I mean, we have to be real about that too. So there's a lot of price gouging and stuff too that's going on, and they're going to only put up what sells, period. I think any veneer that there was like some kind of like, we're doing this to help the cause of fat acceptance or whatever, it's dead. Because it's like, no, we want our money, period. That's it. And in some cases, I don't blame them. Obviously, there are other industries where it's really vicious. For example, I'll just say it, I don't care. I'm having a low dough day. Insurance companies, for example, they're awful. So it's a trend to be gouging people at this time, very highly motivated by money. These businesses are, which again, it's not always bad if you don't want to lose money as a business, but something like clothes, they're just going to put what's selling. It's just that simple. That's all. Okay? We need to be aware of that. We need to read the room. There's no like flush of money. There's nothing going on. And like I said, there's even within a lot of industries, the corporate leadership, an absolute price gouge moment where there's just no care at all, which is very obvious. So when you have that combined, it's like pretty much every single business is not going to have something, because those that have money, they're like trying to get the most they can possibly get. And those that don't have money or that are struggling, there is no grace to have these clothes on the shelves if they're not selling. So either way, it's not going to happen. Basically, that's what you need to understand. So, yeah.
And that's what we're seeing reflected on runways and magazines and media. My plus size colleagues around the world.
And so the clothes and all that stuff, your plus size models, which I think Angelica pointed this out, they're going to be, more mid-sizey, or maybe just even average or thicker, like a thicker thin, basically. So that's going to happen because those clothes are going to sell more. And also, the clothes are more easily seen on a body like that. When you get to very big sizes, it's not as uniform, so you can't show the clothes as well. So there's a lot of, there's like so many different layers to why this is just not happening. And I feel like if she could look at it with some level of clarity, then she would understand that it's not personal. Exactly. It's not just about fat people. It's about everything all the time. There's a lot of gears turning at this moment. It is delusional to think that fatness would somehow be unaffected. I've told you guys forever, the price of food has a lot to do with why weight loss is becoming more of a trend. It does. It puts fiscal pressure on the poor to not eat as much. And then you have Ozempic for the middle class and upper classes. So no, it's not just Ozempic, but it's everything all together all at once. It's a lot of stuff going on. And it is quite literally wasteful and expensive to be super huge. And that has become more obvious than ever at this time, especially during this financially difficult time. And I hope that if things do improve, we don't go back to fat acceptance. But at this time, this complete crazy societal shitstorm basically that we're in, it is leading to this issue being dealt with in some way, which is very positive. That is a positive of this moment. And we have to take our positives with where they come. You have to be happy about something that we can be happy about. I'm happy personally that this issue is being addressed in general in society. I'm not happy about every direction it's going in, but I am happy that we're getting away from this. I'm happy that we're getting away from Tess Holliday. And I will be putting my finger on the scale to get it towards a healthier place. I don't want it to go to the equal opposite extreme or anything too crazy. But, this had to go. Fat acceptance has to go. It has to go. It absolutely has to go. So if this whole shitstorm, if it's helping for this to go, then I'm happy. As an anti-fat acceptance activist, I can't even talk. I am happy that this issue is being dealt with on a societal level in some regard, in a somewhat helpful, somewhat healthful way that is not completely delusional anymore, like it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, etc. So that was a long spiel. You can see the low dough, but we're going to continue.
They're not really working. So it's been really disheartening to see.
I imagine it is tough. I mean, I've got a few friends, actually, that have been taking the jabs, and they tell me that it's been life-transforming, and I can see it in their eyes. They feel so positive. They have incredible body positivity because they feel in control of their body in a way they didn't before. So for them, this has been transformative.
Absolutely. I think that they are amazing for so many people. And I think that it has given people access to control kind of their bodies, maybe in ways that they hadn't previously. I do think that there is duality. I think that they're great. But just like anything that's great, people overuse it, abuse it, etc. And I think ever since 2020, there's been a rapid decline in diversity overall. And so I think it's just kind of the perfect storm of like the jabs.
Again, there's been a lot of economic upheaval since 2020 that she's clearly unaware of. There's been a lot of things that have happened since 2020. What else happened in 2020? The panini. So not only was that massively transformational economically in a negative way, I would say, but also it brought the issue of obesity to a head, to the forefront, as it was connected. There was a reason why. There are many reasons why it hit the US so hard, but obesity is probably the number one reason why it did, because our obesity rates are really high. That's really bad. And honestly, obesity is so unhealthy. It was a matter of time before something like that happened, if we're realistic. And it was a huge reality check. It is not okay to be obese. It's not. And the panini showed that in a way that is so blatant that you cannot really pretend. And even for me, as somebody who was so completely toxically ritualistic, this issue was shoved in my face every single day that whole year in a way that I literally, it was the year that I let go of the TR completely. It was the year I got out towards October because it was literally shoved in my face. I did not want to see it, but I had to. And I know I'm not the only one that had that happen. And I know a lot of people saw the cost of obesity on society. It is very rare to have a moment like that. And then, like I said, obviously it affected a lot of things economically, which affects how businesses are run, which affects everything after that. And it hasn't really been good ever since. I would say, honestly, economically, it's been rough, especially for, people that are not rich. I don't know how else to say it. So it's tough. It's been tough. But yeah, businesses have transformed because of that time. It's like she's acting like it's so random. Like, I don't know what happened. What happened in 2020, you guys? What happened? It's like,
And, where our culture is at right now.
I wonder whether it's about the extremes. I mean, you might be aware in this country there's been various ads that have been banned only this year where models have seemed too thin. And in many respects, the look that appears to be perhaps the most popular and celebrated is a kind of healthy body. One of my great heroes, for example, Lizzo, has been very open about her weight loss journey. I wonder whether you'd kind of celebrate that rather than, a plus-size body or a too thin body, but trying to achieve a body that best represents health.
I think that it's really hard to look at somebody and tell whether or not they're healthy.
She's trying to do the talking points. It's, the thing about it, Tess, is that you can tell if someone's healthier, in terms of like size. Like there isn't a mean, or what is it, a norm? There's a normal range. On this channel, I advocate for everybody to be normal or maybe above average if you so choose, but normal, meaning not overweight, not underweight. Normal. That is what I activistically push for. Not everybody's going to be in, super athletic, abs, 9% body fat or whatever. That's not what I advocate for on this channel. I advocate for people to make it to average. Absolutely. So I'm just saying, people need to get there because it's healthier. It's better for you in basically every single way. And you can tell if somebody's in a healthy weight range, that is at the very least something that is not affecting their health. You can, however, have other health problems that don't have to do with weight. But if you're within a healthy weight range, you're not going to have weight-related issues. If you get too far up or too far down, you're going to have weight-related issues, period.
I know you mentioned extremes, and I can understand what you're saying, but I think overall, what I would love to be celebrated, and I feel like a lot of people, is just, how we exist, diversity in general. I think it would be nice to see different body sizes and shapes and ranges as a whole. So, I mean, that's what I would love to see more of.
I couldn't agree more. And you obviously feel very healthy, don't you? And celebrate your health and your shape in a way that's very positive. There will be some that argue that we have an obesity crisis in our country. We have huge concern about people being overweight. And in a sense, we have to be careful. You might be, well, you're gorgeous, clearly, and healthy, but others who are your size might not be.
They might not be, but
Tess is not healthy, period. Tess cannot handle a day at Disneyland. I'm reminded of this video that Michelle McDaniel did about Tess at Disneyland. And I saw Tess, she was struggling. And I'm like, oh gosh, I've been there. I've been struggling. I think I've literally been struggling at Disneyland before. And I know exactly what that feels like. And it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare situation. So, but what you can say is it's not healthy. Standing around or walking around all day, if you have an issue doing that, it should be able to be explained. And if it can't be explained and you're very overweight, it's probably your weight. Also, too, even if you have other conditions, your weight will make it worse. So it's not good. For example, even something like anemia, iron deficient anemia, which I've been struggling with. Obesity affects your iron absorption. Wow. Another thing. Another thing it did. So if you struggle with anemia, being obese would make it worse. That's yet another thing that makes it worse. Or it's another thing that it makes worse, I should say. I bring up ADHD all the time. It will make ADHD worse. It makes your dopamine lower in the brain. So it'll make it worse. That's not even like the same kind of physical condition, but it's still a condition. It affects almost everything. It is really bad. I don't know how else to say it. Like, the fact that I even have to get on here and say that is crazy. Like, the amount of like delulu that is pushed, like Tess being like, yeah, I'm healthy. She's not. She's totally lying. She's such a liar. And it blows my mind to see her even try. And I don't know why the co-hosts are going along with it. I don't like that. You know, maybe that is like Britishy politeness somewhat, especially at least from my perspective. You know, I'm an American, but I feel like they have more of like a posh-ish accent or whatever. So maybe they have to be more polite or something. I don't know. That's just my impression as an outsider. Or, you know, they're on the news and all that, so they have to be really nicey nice. But, you know, I just feel like it's not helpful to pretend. But I can kind of see what they're doing. They're trying to like dance around it a little bit and be like, well, other people are. And then she just goes right into the, like, other people are unhealthy. And then she goes right into the talking points. Let's see what she says.
You know, at the end of the day, we are all deserving of respect. We're all deserving to take up space. That's why, you know, I wrote a new book that came out in the UK not too long ago called Take Up Space, y'all. And it really is about just reclaiming your space and taking up space. And, you know,
So she's appealing to spiritual things like worthiness. It's a spiritual concept. And this is a physical issue, Tess. You know, we need to, I understand, like, you can work that in, but at the end of the day, obesity is a physical issue. It's a physical problem, first and foremost. And it needs to be talked about as a physical issue. Because when we try to cloud it up with spiritual conversations, political or religious conversations, it's just a way to distract from the physical reality of obesity, which is very needed, especially in your case, Tess, as you are super morbidly obese. You don't need to think about that stuff right now. You need to think about your physical health, the actual, like, physical reality of the shape that your body is in. It is, I've always told you guys, super morbid obesity is extremely physical. Extremely physical. So she doesn't need to even think about all this stuff right now. She needs to just get it together and start losing weight. Start a plan or something and try to figure something out to bring down her weight. I would still suggest, you know, somewhat slow. Like, I don't think it's good to rush all the time. And in some cases, you may not have the time. But if she's still somewhat okay, I would suggest she does it now. Because in women, it tends to take longer. So while women have more time for obesity to damage their bodies, as it doesn't damage women's bodies as fast as it damages men's bodies, women also take longer to get out than men do. So by the time she would have a health crisis regarding her weight, she may not have enough time to get out. That's dangerous. So I really think she should start now. But will she? No, because she's delusional, and then she's pushing that delulu onto everybody else, which is really, really negative.
Regardless of whether we're, quote, healthy or not, we matter. And, I think that we deserve to be seen as well.
So I know you're concerned that you haven't been booked for a long time. If you don't get more bookings, what will you do?
I feel like there's like subtle shade in some of her questions, some of the co-host questions, which is kind of funny to me a little bit. But I don't know if I'm just reading into that. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Not that concerned. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you guys, so it's not all
which is
bad,
lovely.
is it? But I'm not going anywhere. You guys are stuck with me. I think like anything, we bought.
You were literally complaining about how you didn't have any work. That's probably why they're bringing it up. So, I mean, I guess she's going to try to become like a motivational speaker or just go full-blown activist, which, okay, girl, I'll be here then, like a thorn in your side. Because the heavier you go into, pun intended, the heavier you go into the fat activism, the more I'm going to talk about you. And again, fat activism, the head of the Hydra, Aubrey Gordon, seems to be dormant at this moment. I don't know why. I don't think that Aubrey's done. So, and that makes me nervous. But with the head of the Hydra gone, there's other people that are trying to reach the top. For my Swifties, it's kind of like that Look What You Made Me Do music video. It's like all the fat activists are trying to climb to the top to be like the number one Taylor, like at the bridge and Look What You Made Me Do. That's how it looks in my mind. That's how they're all acting. Because I see that with Virgie too. She's trying to take leadership. She's really trying to be a leader. But there seems to be like a vacuum within fat acceptance at the moment. And Tess is like, well, I'm going to try. So she did, I think, Teen Vogue. And then now she did this, which I don't know. I guess she's trying to spread the message across the pond, which is, I don't know. Like, is she seeding this ground? Is she seeding this American soil under my feet? Is she done? Is she done? So I'm telling you, Tess, I'm going to bring the fight wherever it goes. I will bring it wherever it goes. So, and I do see the great fat migration to the UK for some reason. I don't know. It's really weird because I don't think the UK is, at least not everybody there, they're not super receptive to it. Like, obviously there's going to be some people that are, but I just can't see the general person in England being like, yeah, totally. I just can't see that. So I'm like, I almost feel like there's like a cultural divide where it's like, this is so weird to say, but this is my low-dough mind. It's like fat activists are trying to move over there and they think that they're eating, but they're not. It's kind of like they think that they're popular, and I don't think they are that popular. I think that, I don't know, it's just weird. It's like maybe you're popular in London or something, but are you even? You know what I mean? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. I need to do more research on this, but because I'm like, why is this happening? Like, I think even Angelica asked, she's like, why is she on here? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm asking too, why? Like, I get that sometimes the media can be like disconnected a little bit from the public. So maybe that's happening in England too, which if you guys are there, you can let me know. I'm actually genuinely curious as to why you think this is happening, because there seems to be this really weird push to like, it's almost like they're experimenting and trying to be like, can we just make a population that was never about this be about it? It's really weird. So, I don't know everything about England, but I watched a lot of seasons of Benidorm, or as they would say, Benidorm. And they had so many fat jokes in that. So many, but it was from like early 2010s, so I don't know how it would be now. But I'm just saying, I just don't think it was about it. I don't think England or the UK or whatever is really about it. So, anyways, y'all can let me know. I'm still like, what the hell? But hey, we got British Georgie to work with, so we've got it.
Body trends are a thing. We've seen it from the 1800s where bigger bodies were glorified, and through the end of time where bodies have changed. And I think that it will shift back to a place where you guys are going to be absolutely sick of me. You're going to see.
So I do want to take her seriously there. I think there is a possibility of a fat lash. This year it has been happening, but it's been covert. It's the Aubrey Gordon attacking Angelica, or not attacking, that's too dramatic. It's been the Aubrey Gordon trying to silence Angelica. That's a way that it's shown. It's been like them blocking out skinny talk and, certain things. There's been actions that have happened. I've seen like an undercurrent of a fat lash. I thought it would be like totally overt this year, but it isn't. It's been covert. It's like beneath the shadows or underneath the groundwater, but it is happening. So I do wonder when they're going to just like lash out completely. But like I said, the head of the Hydra, Aubrey, seems dormant. I just don't think that she's done. I don't. I think something's cooking. Something's happening beneath the surface. I'm aware of that. But I don't know how, when, or why it will come up. But maybe next year. Maybe it's a little bit later than I thought, but I don't know. Like I said, it did happen, but it was just covert, which is weird.
Me and a bunch of other people everywhere. You'd really say that
So anyways, let me know what you guys think. I was crazy as usual because low dopamine. But let me know what you guys think. I tried. I don't think I was as bad today, but I still was a little off, as you could tell. But yeah, I will see you guys later. I'm still baffled by this. Like I'm baffled that this even happened. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't get it. I just don't. But whatever. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.